Send your well wishes to Jim Harbaugh, a avid viewer of this show. I know it because anytime I say anything off kilter or anything like that, I get the Michigan football program sometimes on my ass telling me, don't say it, don't. So they watch it. Give Jim Harbaugh a happy birthday. Hell, tweet at him if you want. It's at Coach Jim for UM. Give me an HBD for Jim Harbaugh. Coming up, though, on today's show, we are going to talk about the new staff member that Jim Harbaugh added to the recruiting staff. 5-star offensive lineman leaning Michigan. We've got a COVID scare in the college football playoff and what is happening with that. And then let's talk about the transfer portal. Who's in, who's out for this team? Mostly who is out. The 9 or 10 guys I have got who are probably most likely going to leave the program after this season. So that's all coming up on the show. Coming up right now. Michigan Football Report with James Yoder, breaking down the latest news and rumors around Jim Harbaugh's Michigan football program. I'm sure there's a fireball on the screen. I'm going to set this below. We'll be fine there. Let's get into it. We're going to start the show by going through the latest news and rumors. By the way, I got to pin this tweet to my Twitter account. So, Jeremy, go ahead and toss it on screen. I'm going to pin a tweet to the profile. Help me out. Anyone who retweets that tweet, I'll give you a shout out here on the show live. And also, I will follow back anyone who retweets that tweet. It's a video of me doing a little selfie video with Jeremy in the background. We put it out right before we went live on the show here on Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern. So go give me a retweet, and I will start calling, giving shout outs, and giving follow backs right now. So it's at James Yoder on Twitter. I pinned that to my profile. All right, a new staff alert. If you saw the show last week, we told you about Michigan, a new director of player personnel. I guess his technical recruiting, he took over for Courtney Morgan. That was Courtney Morgan's job title. I did see that the new guy's job title is director of recruiting. So, I guess it's a different job title than the last guy had, which leads me to believe that Michigan might be elevating two people to kind of co-lead recruiting going forward. Albert KARSCHNIA. He's a young guy, graduated Michigan 2015. Served under Jim Harbaugh from 2015 to 2017 in 3 or 4 different roles, mostly on the recruiting ops side, right? A lot of postgraduate, maybe intern style work, etc. Contacting recruits, putting together reports, putting together travel schedules. Left with Jim McElwain to be the director of player personnel 4 years ago, when he was only about 24, 25 years old, and just left the, it says current there, but obviously now, as of yesterday, he is now the new director of player personnel, director of recruiting for the University of Michigan. So Albert KARSCHNIA is taking over to run Michigan's recruiting, and I hope, folks, he is in it for the long haul, because he is now the 4th head of recruiting that Jim Harbaugh has had in the last 5 years, right? And so Courtney Morgan lasted 7 months, right? That's it. And that's kind of unacceptable in my opinion. I don't think that a guy should go into a job and already be having one foot out the door in a position as impactful and as relationship driven as the recruiting business. So I hope he's in it for the long haul. I hope that if Jim Harbaugh is here another 10 years, that KARSCHNIA, if he's getting the job done, is right there with him that entire time, or goes on to another role potentially. But the only other job from here is either going to the NFL, into a scout or a front office role, or go into coaching. So if he goes into coaching, all shout outs to the University of Michigan program. I hope they give him a coaching job if he's that good at his role. Why don't you guys do subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. We're broadcasting this live right now. Got about 200 people watching live. Also going to post this video here later on Thursday evening. We're sitting at 18,152 subscribers. Help us get to 19,000. Want to make sure that we are continuing to be the biggest Michigan football YouTube channel in the game, like we are, both from an audience perspective and now from a subscriber perspective. So subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. How about this award? The University of Michigan has the best record in college football, for the best offensive lineman in college football, folks. They win the Joe Moore Award, which has only been around for about 6 seasons so far, 6-7 seasons since 2015. This offensive line, the best offensive line in college football, give up the fewest tackles for loss and the 3rd fewest sacks. The only 2 teams that give up less sacks were it was Army and Air Force, who threw the ball combined 150 times. So obviously you're not going to have that many sacks when you run the triple option and throw the ball 9 times a game. Michigan, with 58.75 yards of total offense this season, is second most in program history. With a good game versus Georgia, they are going to beat that record and be the most prolific offense this school has ever seen. Some recruiting news for you. 5-star offensive lineman Josh Conerly, I am told, is heavily leaning Michigan, but is going to explore all of his options over the next few weeks, and we might see an announcement in the first couple weeks of January, or a fever pitch of people saying, myself included, if he does give a silent verbal commitment. A lot of time these kids say, okay, hey, I want to wait until signing day in February to officially announce, but it'll give the coaches assurances to save themselves a scholarship. I'm 75% confident that Michigan gets Conerly at this point. He would be their second highest rated recruit and the second 5-star in this class. Our presenting sponsor today is BetUS, the sports book that we've been playing with all this season, all last season. I am putting big-time money on Michigan to beat Georgia straight up. I'm going the money line. If you don't think Michigan's going to necessarily win outright, you can do the spread. All right, that's kind of 1-to-1 odds. I think Michigan's an 8.5-point underdog, over/under, college football bowls, college football playoff, and all kinds of NFL games, including the playoffs. Get going with BetUS, 125% deposit. You got to use that link at the bottom of the screen. If you do, you get the 125% deposit bonus. Put in 100, 125 extra, 200, 250 extra, and jersey deal. We're keeping it rolling all the way through the Orange Bowl versus Georgia. So if you get going with BetUS, you got to use that link because it tracks you to the promotion. We get a list of people and account numbers we can just verify. We'll send you the jersey. Email us, jersey@chatsports.com. Say, hey, I got going with BetUS. Here's my size. We'll get you shipped one off once we verify your account. BetUS, chatsports.com/goblue, and then email us, jersey@chatsports.com once you make your first deposit and you get your first bet going. Coronavirus, the Omicron variant, it is taking over the world, and it's kind of crazy because it seems like cases are going like this, but sickness is kind of going like this, and hospitalizations are going like this, and deaths, the good stuff is all going like this. And what a virus does typically, folks, if you haven't looked it up over the history of time, it gets more contagious over time and less severe, and that's what's happening with COVID-19. Omicron seems to be, I'm not trying to, if you know anybody who's gotten violently ill, I definitely feel for them, but it seems to be for most people, it is equivalent to a common cold, 2 to 3 days of sniffles, coughness, etc. But the college football is still going to potentially hold players out if they have it to stop the spread. Angelique Shengelis from the Detroit News put this tweet out. Just, obviously this is news now. Michigan got the booster shot. I was told yesterday that all 120 players that are scholarship and walk-on and scout team players got the booster shot, as well did about 45 members of Michigan's coaching staff, support staff, and training department. All got the booster staff on Wednesday afternoon into the evening. And it's for good reason. The College Football Playoff has put in new protocols. They're giving no wiggle room for teams going into the CFP, right? Teams only required to arrive 2 days prior to the game. So Michigan doesn't have to be down there until Wednesday. They're going to go on Saturday, right? They're going to go on Christmas Day. They don't have to be. All media events are virtual. I am really glad we didn't spend $7,000 to take down a whole set and cameras, everything to do a show down in Miami and go to media day and bring a producer to and hotels and travel, because all the media events are virtual, right? I've said this for years. I think media availability sometimes is overrated because no one gives you a lot. It's more of a, hey, I want to go to the game for free, hang out with the coaches, players. But now they're not going to do it. It's all over Zoom. Semifinals can be forfeited. If a team can't field a team, they're not delaying the game. And the championship game can be delayed, but only for 4 days. It's played on Monday the 10th. It can be delayed up until Friday the 14th. After that, they're not going to continue it. So 2 things here. If there aren't 2 teams available to play for the championship by January 14th, they're not going to crown a champion. One thing we couldn't fit on here, because we've only got 5 things, is that if there is a semifinal, let's say the Orange Bowl or the Cotton Bowl, let's say Alabama and Cincinnati, neither team could play. The Michigan-Georgia game on December 31st becomes the national championship by default. That is what the College Football Playoff said. If one of the games can't be played because both teams have to forfeit because of COVID, players out, availability, the other game becomes the national championship. So Alabama's offensive line coach, offensive coordinator, had COVID. They tested positive yesterday. I'm not wishing that Alabama and Cincinnati, get COVID or anything like that, but there's a chance, right, that something crazy happens, that this game coming up against Georgia could end up being the national title game. I mentioned a couple times, folks, Michigan is scheduled to arrive on Christmas Day in Miami. They've got a full practice setup, et cetera, going on. They're going to isolate the players. They've already put the players in complete protocol at this point. Every single player is in a hotel room. They're not letting any family or friends come see them until they leave for Miami coming up in about 2 days, less than 2 days from now. On Saturday, they will be heading down to Miami, taking all precautions, right? Michigan does not want 2 players to get COVID. And even if they could test negative by the time of the game, they're missing out on practice. So I really appreciate what Jim Harbaugh is doing, making sure that this team is not at risk of missing the college football playoff. The TV lineup has been announced, and you can listen to the Michigan Football Radio broadcast on TV. The All-22, a Sam Webb special. He'll probably steal that one and post it on YouTube and get canceled again. But what's that? ESPN News will have the Michigan Hometown Radio, Jim Brandstatter, and those guys will be on. Frank Beckman will be on ESPN News. So if you want to not listen to the national media that kind of don't know the teams as well as you or I do, the Michigan football broadcast, you can watch it on ESPN News coming up next Friday. Let me know where you're watching the game from. Give me an S, C, or B if it's the stadium. You're heading down to the game, your couch, whether it's your house, a friend's house, a family member's house, or if you're heading out to the bar, you're just going to sit there, chug a Bud Light. I mean, look, I don't know who shops around here. Bud Light, what are we in college here or whatever? What kind of guy you are. So let me know S, C, or B. I'll give a few shots here on our live show if you're watching later. This segment was on our live broadcast. Cristian Smith, C. Connor Smiley says C for couch. Mike for 2447 says couch as well. Matt Carrier, the couch. John Ray Bay says the couch. Stadium from who was that? I missed the state. Ben 93? Who? I missed the name. I didn't see it. Okay, so somebody 93 says the stadium, so good for you. Hope a lot of you guys see Rick Quick couch, Conman couch, Conman 1342. Is that Sam Webb's burner account? It might be. So let me know. Keep it going. Zachary all says maybe B. Maybe he's going to the bar, getting turned up. Mitch Capus says couch as well. Some more news around this program. G-Mon and German Green. G-Mon, formerly starting cornerback, got passed over in the lineup around midseason by DJ Turner. They are expected to return in 2022. It was rumored for the last couple weeks that maybe these are two players that are potentially moving on from the program. 2 years of eligibility left. They could go play at a less talented program and potentially start in the secondary together. They haven't got the chance to do that yet at Michigan. Take a look at these two players from the greater Dallas area, 2018 recruits. G-Mon's been the more impactful player, right? 28 games played, 12 starts in his career. He's made 50 tackles, 1 interception, and broke up 11 passes in his Wolverine career. German hasn't been that impactful. Hasn't seen the field a ton on defense, only a handful of games over the years. So they will be back for next year as long as nothing changes in the next few weeks and they don't decide to change their mind. But 2018 recruits, they have 2 years of eligibility left. So potentially they could play this next year out in 2022 and still transfer if they wanted to somewhere else if they chose to move on and maybe say, hey, we could go play for another school, go back to the state of Texas where they're from, play for a Big 12 school or a school like Houston or something like that if they think they could start there. I hope they return in 2022. I really do. I hope they continue out. I think they're good program guys. And I think in this era of college football, if you get guys who stick around, even though they're not starting, don't look for greener pastures, know the program, know what it takes to beat Ohio State, know what it takes to win a Big Ten championship. And those are the kind of guys that will come back in 25, 30 years when they've got kids of their own for games and be part of the program their entire life. I kind of am not a big fan of this, hey, I don't play after 2 years, I'm just transferring somewhere else. Because if you look at the guys that have transferred from Michigan over the years, it doesn't always work out that well. I'd say about 1 out of 5, 20% of guys really move on to something better after they leave Michigan. G-Mon's been a starter. He's been in the lineup, but German's a program guy, right? He's been a leader on special teams, and I understand that he wants to play on defense, but there's more talented players in front of him. But I'm glad he's probably sticking around, and I hope they give him more playing time. I hope he works his butt off this year and works his way into maybe the 2 deep coming up next year. That was just part of the conversation that when I've done this in the past, I've reported this stuff, people get mad. I understand, right? You shouldn't put their business out there, etc. But the world has changed. The transfer portal has changed things, and I think we need to understand that this is not something that we're going to hide behind a shroud of secrecy anymore. This is going to be out there and out front. Programs like Alabama are leading the way. They're bringing on the best players in college football, transferring to Alabama, and Michigan should be thinking about that the same. So I've got 9 players here that I think are very likely to leave this program after the season wraps up here on January, just after midnight on January 10th. Let me take a look at 4 guys on offense. He's only with the program for 1 year, but Tavierre Dunlap from the state of Texas, the freshman running back. I hear a lot of rumors that he is expected to move on. Christian Dixon, another freshman, wide receiver from the state of California. Put out a little cryptic tweets lately. I expect him to potentially move on. Chuck Filiaga has 1 year of eligibility left. He's been in the starting lineup here and there. He's been a program player. He's stuck around for 5 years, but he's going to try and get in the starting lineup at a smaller school and use his 6th year of eligibility because the COVID year didn't count. And then Joel Honigford, who has been an offensive lineman and a tight end in his 5 years at Michigan. He'll go somewhere to see if he can be a starting tight end, or hell, maybe he moves back to offensive tackle at a smaller program in 2022. So those are 4 guys on offense. Portal watch on defense. You got a lot of well-known names here. Donovan Jeter. He's been in and out of the starting lineup too deep, but kind of lost his way this year, passed over a little bit, and he'll potentially seek greener pastures. Julius Welschoff, same deal, has been 4 years of the program. He wants to go somewhere, get a little more playing time. Khalil Mullings, we haven't heard his name much at all. Sophomore from, he's potentially going to go east. Maybe ends up with Don Brown at UMass. Dorian Green-Warren, a huge recruit 2 years ago, has yet to see the field for Michigan, as far as I know. I've never seen him in the field. I haven't seen any of the participation charts. And then Jalen Perry, another big-name recruit in the secondary who has yet to make an impact on for this team throughout his career, his 3 seasons at Michigan. Look, these are just rumors. I hope they all stay. They can't all stay, though, right? Because Michigan needs to free up scholarships because they have too many recruits coming in. So no matter if I'm reporting this or not, whether if I miss on 1 or 2 of those guys, they decide to stay or not, Michigan can't have the entire team who is eligible return this year. They've got to have at least 12 to 15 players decide to leave early for the NFL or move on in some way, stop playing football, or decide to transfer. So it is what it is. It's part of college football right now, and I hope they all stay, but it's just the way things are in college football. Let's make sure we update that number, Jeremy Chugs, before we go into the next segment. We're at 18,152. I'll tell you the updated number, 18,181. So we've already had 30 subscribers since we have been live. If you haven't yet, folks, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to keep giving shout-outs here on our live chat. I see a couple super chats coming in as well. We'll get those on the show here in just a moment. We have got Michigan football keys to victory and your live questions coming up on the show right now.